The Bering Sea doesn't care about your plans. Out here, the ocean is the only thing that matters, and it makes its own rules. No matter how carefully you prepare, the sea can turn on you in an instant, reminding you just how small you really are. It's a vast, churning expanse of gray water under an even grayer sky. The horizon blurs and the world feels endless, cold, and indifferent. Every wave is a reminder that you're at the mercy of something far greater than yourself. Out here, a boat is just a tiny speck, a fragile dot in a wilderness of water and wind, dwarfed by the sheer scale of the elements. The isolation is total, no land in sight, just the endless roll of the sea. The FV Northwestern was that speck, pushing through icy swells on July 2, 2025. The crew braced themselves as the boat pitched and rolled, every movement a battle against the relentless cold and the pounding surf. The air stabbed like needles, every breath burned in your lungs, and the wind cut through layers of clothing as if they weren't even there. The cold was a living thing, gnawing at fingers and faces, never letting up. For Captain Sig Hansen and his crew, this was no ordinary trip. They'd faced storms before, but this season felt different, more dangerous, more uncertain. The stakes were higher than ever. The Opilio crab season was brutal. The weather was unforgiving and the sea seemed determined to keep its secrets. Every pot hauled was a gamble, every empty trap a blow to morale. The usual grounds were empty and the pressure was on. The crew's faces grew more anxious with each empty pot, knowing that time and money were slipping away with every failed haul. Every hour meant more fuel burned, more money spent, and more time away from home. The clock was always ticking, and the costs kept piling up, both financial and personal. This is crab fishing, a high-stakes game against nature. It's not just about catching crab, it's about survival, endurance, and grit. Every decision could mean the difference between success and disaster. You bet your boat, your gear, and sometimes your life for a shot at fortune. The risks are real, and the rewards are never guaranteed. Out here, luck and skill are your only allies. The Northwestern had a reputation, but legends don't pay the bills, results do. The crew knew that their past victories meant nothing if they couldn't deliver this season. Sig Hansen, his face a roadmap of storms, felt the weight. Years of experience had taught him to respect the sea, but also to push back when it mattered most. The responsibility for his crew, his boat, and his family pressed down on him with every decision. He needed a season-defining haul, something to prove that the Northwestern still had what it took, that they could still come out on top when it mattered most. The crew felt it too, a tension thicker than sea fog. Every man knew what was at stake, and every set of eyes watched the horizon, hoping for a sign that their luck was about to change. Crab prices were decent, but quotas were tight and competition fierce. Other boats circled the same waters, all chasing the same elusive prize. There was no room for mistakes. Playing it safe wasn't an option. To win, you had to risk everything, your safety, your comfort, even your future. The sea demanded nothing less, the easy money was gone. The days of quick hauls and overflowing pots were a memory. Now, every crab was hard-won, every success a testament to sheer determination. The Northwestern was fighting for its place at the top, chasing the elusive Opilio crab. Every catch was a small victory, a step closer to survival and pride. And their captain was about to take them farther than ever before, into uncharted waters, into the unknown, in search of the haul that could make or break them all.
Sig Hansen stood in the wheelhouse, staring at the digital chart. The glow of the screens reflected in his eyes, every line and number a puzzle only a seasoned captain could hope to solve. The hum of the engines and the gentle sway of the boat were familiar, but tonight the stakes felt different. Higher.
His eyes drifted to a blank space far north, a patch few dared to fish. It was a place marked by uncertainty, a void on the map where legends were made or broken. Most captains avoided it, haunted by stories of empty pots and brutal storms. The weather was worse, the currents wild, and the distance from port daunting. The northern grounds were infamous for their unpredictability, where a sudden squall could turn a routine trip into a fight for survival. The sea here was colder, the winds sharper, and the margin for error razor thin. That's exactly where Sig was headed. He knew the risks, but he also knew that fortune rarely favored the cautious in these waters. Sometimes you had to chase the unknown. He took a long sip of coffee, steeling himself. The warmth was a small comfort against the chill of doubt creeping in. Every decision weighed heavy, but hesitation was a luxury he couldn't afford.
We're going north, way north. Pack up, get ready. This is a run nobody else is making.
The crew murmured. Whispers of uncertainty mixed with excitement. Some glanced at each other, wondering if this was madness or genius. They trusted Sig, but the unknown always brought nerves. It was a massive gamble. Every man on deck knew what was at stake. The wrong call could mean empty holds, lost time, and a season in jeopardy. If the grounds were empty, it could sink their season. Months of preparation, thousands of miles, all for nothing. The weight of that possibility pressed on everyone. But Sig had a hunch. The crab had moved, driven by changing ocean temperatures. He'd seen the signs, shifting currents, colder water, patterns only a veteran would notice. It was a gut feeling, but one built on decades of experience. The Northwestern would go where no one else dared. As the rest of the fleet played it safe, Sig charted his own course, leaving the familiar behind for a shot at something bigger. The bow turned toward uncharted territory. The horizon was a blur of fog and ice, a reminder that nature, not man, set the rules out here. On the radio, other captains called it reckless. Sig ignored them. He'd heard it all before, doubt, warnings, even ridicule. But he trusted his instincts more than the chatter. He was betting on his experience, his crew, and his family's legacy. Every risk he took was for them, for the name on the boat, for the men who counted on him, and for the generations that came before. This was about more than crab. It was about proving the old ways with new risks could still win. It was about adapting, surviving, and showing that courage and tradition still had a place in the modern world. The chips were down, and the dealer was the Bering Sea. Out here, luck and skill danced together, and only the boldest would walk away with the prize. As the boat steamed into the unknown, anticipation built. Every man felt it, the tension, the hope, the fear. The next few days would decide everything. They were alone, a single vessel against the Arctic, no backup, no second chances. Just the Northwestern, her crew, and the endless icy sea. The fate of their season rested on what lay hidden below. Would the gamble pay off, or would the northern grounds remain empty, another legend in the making? Only time and the sea would tell. With the course set, the work began. The deck became a hive of activity. Steel pots prepped, bait bags stuffed, every knot checked. Out here, a small mistake could be catastrophic. The crew moved with seamless teamwork, born from years in harsh conditions.
Jake Anderson directed the crew with sharp commands.
Norman Hansen checked the hydraulics, ensuring everything was ready.
Each man trusted the next, communicating in nods and grunts. The clang of steel and shouts of the crew filled the air. Weather reports crackled over the radio. A storm was brewing, faster than expected. Urgency spiked. They had to set pots before the storm hit. The final pots were baited and stacked. The crew caught their breath, watching the sky darken. The real test was about to begin.
Let's set 'em.
The crew sprang into action, swinging massive pots over the churning water. Each pot plunged into the depths, a long line of hope across the seafloor. Then came the waiting. After 2 days, it was time for truth. The first pot was hauled up. The crew held their breath. It broke the surface, overflowing with a paleo crab. A cheer erupted. The pot was swung aboard, crabs sorted at lightning speed. The clatter of shells was the sweetest sound all season. The second pot, full. The third, full. Every pot loaded. Sig's gamble had paid off. The exhaustion and doubt vanished, replaced by adrenaline. They had found the crab. Now they had to haul as many as possible before the storm hit. The race was on. The storm hit like a freight train, slamming into the boat with a force that rattled every bolt and beam. In an instant, the world outside turned chaotic, the sea transforming from a churning gray to a wall of white fury. The sky turned black as ink, swallowing the horizon. The wind screamed through the rigging, howling like a living thing, and 30-foot waves crashed over the bow, drenching everything in icy spray. Each gust threatened to tear the boat apart, and the rain lashed down in sheets, blurring vision and soaking the crew to the bone.
Water swept the deck, turning every step into a battle for balance. The floor became a river, boots slipping, hands grabbing for anything solid. Every movement was a fight against the sea's relentless assault, and every second demanded total focus.
Working on deck was survival. The urgency was tenfold, every task magnified by the storm's fury. There was no room for hesitation. Every second counted, and every mistake could be deadly. The crew shouted over the roar, hands moving fast, eyes wide with adrenaline. Stopping meant losing the haul to the deep. The ocean was always hungry, ready to swallow gear, catch, or even men. The stakes were higher than ever, and the crew knew it.
The crew moved in a blur, tethered to the boat, eyes locked on the pots. Every haul was a race against the storm, every pot a lifeline to their livelihood. They worked with a silent understanding, each man trusting the others with his life.
I kept the bow into the waves, hands steady on the wheel, eyes glued to the radar. My heart pounded with every swell, but I couldn't let it show. The crew depended on me to keep us safe, to read the sea and steer us through. I called out warnings, giving the crew precious seconds to brace for the next hit. My voice cut through the chaos, a lifeline in the storm, and I watched as they hunkered down, trusting me to guide them through.
It was captain and crew against the Bering Sea, locked in a battle of endurance and willpower. The storm tested every skill, every ounce of courage, and every bond forged by months at sea. Pots were hauled, emptied, rebaited, and sent back down in a relentless cycle. There was no rest, no pause, just the rhythm of survival. Pull, sort, bait, drop, over and over, as the storm raged on. Frozen hands fumbled with heavy gear, muscles screamed in protest, but they kept going. Exhaustion was a constant companion, but so was determination. Each man pushed through the pain, driven by pride and the promise of a big haul. The weight of crab made the work harder, but fueled their determination. Every pot that came up heavy was a victory, a reward for their suffering, and a reminder of why they risked everything out here. They were pulling in a fortune, one pot at a time. Each crab was hard won, a testament to their grit and teamwork, and every full bin brought a surge of hope. This was the price of victory. This was crab fishing, brutal, relentless, and unforgiving. But for those who endure, the sea sometimes gives back, and the reward is worth every risk. In the heart of the storm, Sig Hansen was more than a captain, he was a legacy. His father, Sverre Hansen, was a pioneer of Alaskan crab fishing.
I grew up on deck, learning from my father. Every decision I make is guided by his lessons. This isn't just a job, it's my birthright.
The Northwestern was more than a boat, it was family.
I know every groan of this boat. I trust her to carry us through.
He was upholding a tradition of excellence and perseverance.
The haul isn't just about money, it's about honoring the past and securing the future.
As the storm raged, Sig was calm. He was exactly where he belonged. Fisherman, captain, son, and father, carrying the weight of a proud legacy through the heart of the storm. The storm raged on. Even Sig Hansen needed rest. After 36 hours at the helm, he handed the wheel to someone he trusted, his daughter, Mandy. She'd trained for this moment her whole life. Mandy stepped into the wheelhouse, the weight of command settling on her shoulders.
I took a deep breath, eyes on the storm. I was ready.
She guided the Northwestern through towering swells with skill beyond her years.
Heads up on deck, big one coming. Let's get ready to haul.
The crew responded without hesitation. They trusted her.
Mandy's got it, we're right there with her.
She's got the touch, just like her old man.
For Sig, watching Mandy command was pure pride.
Seeing Mandy in that chair, that's the future.
Mandy didn't just fill in, she proved herself as a captain. When Sig returned, the boat and crew were safe. Mandy had conquered the storm. As the storm subsided, the crew was exhausted but elated. The holds were filling fast.
Time to pull the final string. These pots soaked the longest.
The first pot broke the surface, overflowing.
Biggest pot I've ever seen.
Never seen so many crabs in one place.
The sorting table was buried in opilio. The counter spun wildly. Pot after pot came up, each one a monster.
I took a risk, and it paid off, bigger than I imagined.
The final pot was hooked, so full the steel frame was barely visible.
That's it. We did it.
A triumphant roar erupted. They hugged, cheered, and celebrated.
Biggest haul in Northwestern history.
They had faced the storm, pushed their limits, and landed the biggest haul ever. It was a moment of pure, hard-earned victory. The journey back to port was different, exhaustion mixed with pride. The Northwestern rode low, heavy with its historic catch.
Never seen the boat ride this low. Feels good.
At the dock, the official weigh-in shattered records.
We'll be telling this story for years.
The crew celebrated, bonded by the storm and their triumph.
I couldn't be prouder of this crew.
Sig looked at Mandy, knowing the legacy was safe.
We did it together, Dad.
The gamble had paid off, adding another legendary chapter. But a fisherman never turns his back on the sea. The Bering Sea had rewarded them, but demanded respect. The challenge is endless, a cycle of risk and reward.
No rest for the wicked. We'll be out there again soon.
For the Northwestern, the work is never truly done.